In Florida, SB 718 went into effect on Saturday, July 1st, a little under 2 months after Governor Ron DeSantis signed it. In that time, videos of empty agricultural fields and protesting truck drivers have filled social media. Stories of immigrant and mixed status families leaving the state have spread across news media, and demonstrations and town halls have been held to call attention to the impact this law is having and will continue to have on the state's agricultural, construction, hospitality, retail, and various administrative industries. Together, these economies contribute about a quarter of the state's gross domestic product and depend on almost 400,000 undocumented workers to function. DeSantis was the primary sponsor of the legislation, which, in its most extreme preliminary form, proposed much more aggressive punishments for those who housed undocumented immigrants, transported them around the state, and employed them. It builds on DeSantis's growing anti-immigrant persona and policy platform to show what the Republican Party's ideal immigration policy really would look like. But even some Republican state lawmakers who in early June appeared to try to backpedal on voting for the legislation have admitted that a main point of the law is to spark panic. At a meeting hosted by Hispanic pastors in Hialeah, State Representative Alina Garcia, who is a Republican, told an assembly that this is a bill basically to scare people from coming to the state of Florida. And I think it's done its purpose. And I think it's done its purpose too. People are scared. People call me on the phone all the time. And I'll tell you, the state may be able to fine U.S. workers, but you as an immigrant, you don't have to worry about Ron DeSantis deporting you, because the governor has no authority to deport you. Only Joe Biden has authority to deport you. So they can pick you up as an undocumented immigrant. They can't charge you with a crime as being an undocumented immigrant. And if they call Department of Homeland Security to get you, probably they wouldn't. It's my opinion. But still going to have far-reaching effects in all of Florida. It's because this law is very, very, very wide-ranging. The bulk of it deals with how employers with 25 or more employees use E-Verify to hire new workers. So E-Verify, that's the federal system used to confirm whether employees are permitted to work in the U.S. And it's been around for a while, but it's not usually enforced. So this law imposes financial penalties to employers. Business owners would be fined $1,000 a day for each undocumented person hired when not permitted. And the state could suspend an employer's business license if they're caught. So it's big business. Any employer with over 25 people, that's going to be a problem. The law also enhances human trafficking and smuggling penalties to make those second-degree felonies punishable by a $10,000 fine and years in prison. And it invalidates driver's licenses issued to undocumented immigrants from other states. And there's 19 states and Washington, D.C. that offer these kind of licenses. And it cuts funding to in-state organizations, jurisdictions, or groups that issue their own forms of ID to undocumented immigrants. And SB 1718 also contains provisions for Florida hospitals that accept Medicaid to collect the legal status of patients, calculate the cost of health care for people lacking legal status, and report those to the state. Jessica Ramirez, who works with the Farm Workers Association of Florida Labor and Immigrants' Right organization, told Vox they spent the last month talking directly to farm and construction workers, shooting down rumors of what exactly the law does and doesn't do, and dispelling some of the misinformation. Ramirez said there were rumors that if you were undocumented and tried to withdraw money from the bank, you wouldn't be able to do it anymore. We heard that from some people who were worried that they would be deported if they went to the hospital. All of this is false. But she said they are urging people, if they go to a hospital and I ask a question about their citizenship on a form, simply not to answer it. And since the law was signed and its specifics became more widely known, some truck drivers have boycotted the state, and protests have disrupted its agricultural and construction industries. The goal of these movements is similar: to show the financial effects the new law will have on the state's economy. Ramirez says she's also fielding requests from Florida's business community, regular citizens, people who rely on immigrant labor. Ramirez said they have also seen children, teenagers with anxiety and fear and depression because they're scared of the law, worried about being separated from their parents or another family member. And Ramirez and others also see a political side effect of this new age in Florida. Many of those fearful mixed status families have been in Florida for 20 or 30 years, enough time for American-born children to have reached voting age. Ramirez says, I think that people will understand that if we don't change political leadership, those in power are going to continue to treat us like this, and we'll continue to use people for their own ends. Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.